All right, Ian, this is a topic about a nice, kindly old man who's 84. His name is Bob Mitch, and he's been collecting bunches of stuff over the years. This is from the Dover Post. Parting with his, in quote, stuff, warehouse of collectibles stun the imagination. Bob Mitch has been filling a building for years. Now he's ready to sell. So he built a 5,000 square foot warehouse to store his collection, and it's nicely displayed, by the way. It's not just all hoarded.
Right. It's in good. It's set up so people can look at it.
So he has things like he has model cars, like old ones. He has model planes. He has collectible plates.
He loves collecting Thunderbird stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's a good focus. He's from Pennsylvania native. He learned how to do carpentry in 1954. Okay. So why are we talking about this? Because at some point the ride ends when it comes to these, people holding these collections. And I'm not saying, God, I got a gigantic collection, but at some point it has to go, and it goes somewhere.
Yeah.
With or without your willingness for it to happen, on this earth or beyond the grave, it's going to be gone. So it sounds like his wife told him, "You're not buying anything more. You're 84. Come on, let's enjoy the,
right.
How many more spins around the sun do we have?" As Frank would say. How many more? So let's see. He has stacks of magazines from the 40s, stuffed toys, paintings, pewter cups and trophies, player piano rolls. I always bring it up as a perfect example about these things. Baseball caps, coffee mugs, Hot Wheel cars, capped soda bottles. Capped soda bottles? It means that they put the caps back on. Empty ones. The shell of a Cessna aircraft.
Okay.
And a half-scale World War I British fighter. From back then, or half scale? What is the guy 3 feet tall? What does that mean? I don't know. Now I want to see that. So he acquired these things, obviously, he's got a collection of 1,800 railroading books. Wow. Okay.
I'd read those.
He goes in this article about where he acquired this stuff. He bought a collection of G.I. Joes at a church sale. He once bought a T-shirt transfer business to own the 24-foot trailer, which they restored. He has a 1938 pinball machine. Wow, that's early. Working jukebox from the 1960s. World War I U.S. Army Doctors Medical Foot Locker.
Flippers.
From 38, then like the late 40s?
Yeah, flippers were Humpty Dumpty, which was late 40s, early 50s.
Just the regular Bagatelle style?
Yeah.
A ballyhoo, Ian.
Yeah.
That's where the name comes from. The machine. Anyway, so what are we going to get at here? So now you're 84, you have a collection of great stuff that might have some value to the right buyer, but it's first of all, it's a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
These are probably a couple dozen different types of collections we're talking about here.
And it's not focused, exactly. It's not just video games or just railroad stuff or just car stuff. It's freaking everything. Some
of the markets for this stuff is so limited that you're going to have trouble finding a buyer. You talk about someone who's a Thunderbird collector car. These are older cars. I would have to say the average Thunderbird enthusiast has to be someone at least in their mid to late 50s, because these cars were popular in the 50s and 60s. So you're really now limiting. You're limiting the number of people that could potentially buy them. Then you have to find these people. Mm-hmm. Then they probably have to be local in order to pick up these pristine model cars. They're not going to be shipped out. This is a lot of work to do this, first of all. When you're 84, this is going to be tough to do. The amount of time and then the return on value won't be there at all. But you might not even find a buyer for some of this stuff.
Sure, absolutely.
The player piano rolls is something that you have to think about. Like, I go back to my grandfather who had a player piano. Player piano rolls are not easy to find because how many people have a player piano still? They don't produce them anymore. They probably stopped making them in the 50s or 60s. They must have. But how many people want them? When I went to the swap meet last year, I saw player piano rolls. First time I'd seen them at the swap meet, or maybe twice in 10 years. And no one wanted them.
Sure.
They were, because I know they were there at 11 a.m. And they're rare, but who cares? Because who wants them? My grandfather had to give his away, I think, when he got rid of his player piano. So the point is that at some point, the number of collectors dies out. They're gone or have no interest. And he's going to be tough to get rid of this stuff. He just will be. And
because your grandkids are never, your children or your grandchildren are never guaranteed to like the same stuff that you like. And if they don't, also if you've been collecting for so long, the market, they just come and go. They die down. Things are not as, as popular as they always would be. We talk about Elvis memorabilia. Same thing. Yes,
that's done.
Right.
And that used to be popular.
Right.
So now he says, I prefer to sell to dealers. They'll buy, they'll pay me. You don't have to hassle. But he's going to toy and train shows and handing out advertising flyers to get people to do that. Number of train collectors is dwindling as well when it comes to it. Toy collecting, I think, is still fairly big, but I even think that's a market that, even though it shifts, you're going to die out. I mean, a toy collector now is going to be someone into Transformers and G.I. Joe from the 80s. Maybe not so much the 50s and 60s toys, because people are dying out that grew up with that stuff.
Right.
Because when I went to toy shows in the 90s, that's what you would see. Yeah, you'd see some G.I. Joe stuff from the 80s, but it was cheap. But you would see stuff from like the 60s and 70s and before. And the same thing I can say with all this, Ian, we can say with video game collections.
Sure.
There's going to be a phase-out period. My argument is that it has begun. It's been here for at least 1 or 2 years now. And with the same podcast, this was not planned, someone, Gu-Tang Clan, that's a familiar name on the show, he sent me a tweet. I'm trying to look at the pictures about trying to get access and obtain better pictures, but this is my town, and goes to what you have said, more people selling their collections. I don't have the tweet in front of me, but he had a bunch of tweets, a bunch of like Facebook posts and people on Craigslist posting their collections for sale. Boxes of consoles. Like one collector had 2 Vectrex boxes, 2 Jaguar boxes. That's a collector. That's someone like me that acquires that stuff over time. It's got to go at some point. It's just, when does it all flush out? And it seems like now's the time where it's starting to happen.
It is, and it kind of goes in spurts. I remember, I first started working at Luna.
2 locations.
We'd see a lot more, Atari and Odyssey type stuff come in. A lot of the old weirder stuff.
Probably like 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
Televisions, ColecoVisions. And that collecting scene, I don't think ever had its moment like NES collecting did, around that time. But people were selling that stuff off en masse and leaving the hobby. And those were older people that I was dealing with.
40-year-olds at the time, exactly. 15 years ago. Because they were 10-year-olds in the early 80s.
Right.
Or 15.
And now, Luna's still doing a brisk business, but Luna's doing a brisk business in GameCube and 64 now, and I'm seeing a lot more NES games come in and not as many moving. It used to be that would be all we sold.
Sure.
People would come in every day, be NES games, and now if I sell a couple NES games, a shift, that's pretty big.
Oh, you never told me that before. If you sell 2 NES games in one day, that's a big day for the NES?
There'll be some days I don't sell any NES games, and then there'll be days where I sell 50, but it's a lot more sporadic.
The average has gone way down.
Yeah. Like I said, people are coming in now and they're hitting up N64 stuff like they used to hit the NES stuff.
I told you, I was surprised last time I went to your place when we did our little appearance that I saw like mainstay popular games for sale.
Those were literally turned in like the day or two before, but still.
But is that more of a common thing? They can sit longer, like a Contra or a DuckTales?
No. Contra and DuckTales and all that stuff still goes fast, but the desire to pick up, and we've talked about this, the desire to pick up the games no one cares about.
The collector games.
Yeah, no one cares about them anymore.
No one wants Mickey's Safari in Numberland, or whatever that is, or Letterland. No one's really searching for that. Okay. Now here's the tweet. So there's a huge collection in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. It's like this person has PlayStation games, PS2 games, N64 games. They have everything. They're a collector like me. There's just stacks of them. He's asking, this is a joke, but 123,456, 789. So.
Right.
There's another collector on Facebook, stacks of boxed consoles. It looks like my room next door that I have to clear out eventually. I have boxed consoles here. Ooh, I want the JVC XI though in the box. Another collector, boxes of consoles. So there you have it. It's happening. I may not want to admit it, but it is. Like I said, I'm going to sell later in the summer. a chunk of stuff. I can rent a U-Haul, bring it to Luna. I can always do that.
It's good.
I don't know if you know those box consoles.
No. Box console stuff doesn't really like. That's the thing. Like in some of the stuff you can still get prices for online, but it's hard to move. For instance, what something might be worth. It's getting to the point where stores really have to pick and choose what they use. An online average for when it comes to pricing. For instance, I can still get whatever for, Contra and stuff all day. 30, 35. That's going to move. It's going to move. However, now when we get like boxed consoles and stuff in, we'll get something like a boxed power base converter and we'll be like, "Oh, that's really cool." And it'll show that it completes online for, let's just say 125 or 150 or something like that. But
the store won't.
But because no one's coming in looking specifically for that.
Yeah.
No one's looking for that really weird shit anymore. We're back to the point in time where people want what they remember. The amount of people who are really trying to get into the weird and esoteric stuff, they just don't exist anymore. So if I want to move something like that in store, if it's going for 125 online, then I got to do it for like 75 in store.
Did you have one for $75?
No, I don't think it's that low. I'm just trying to use a random.
My box is a little beat up for my power base converter.
I'm just trying to use a random, but that's the sort of thing. You can't, for things like that, you cannot charge the same prices on the open marketplace if you want to move it in a store.
Or even some weird or esoteric game library.
Sure.
Maybe you can charge eBay going rate for NES, but maybe it'll be tougher for Master System, or maybe it'll be tougher for, I don't know, 3DO. How many people are going to come in and be wanting that specific 3DO game? Not too many.
Sure.
It's the same thing. So, all right. So here it is. The sell-off started, we'll say 2017. Here we go with it.